皆さんまた来てくださってありがとうございます。今日はね、お題は2つ。もうどんどん何一つ解決されないままアメリカは崩壊に向かっているんですけど、その中で、今日取り上げるのは例のフェンテノルの問題です。あと来週の火曜日に政府機関が、Ufo に関する公聴会をするんですね。聴聞会をするんですね。で、その話題がちょっと入っています。また来週火曜日以降にこれについてはあげたいと思います。ちょっとワクワクですね。どうぞ。
Welcome back. Time for the Hot Topic Buzz. So next week, Congress will hold an open congressional hearing about UFOs. Yes, unidentified flying objects. This is the first time this is happening, a hearing in over 50 years. Two top defense intelligence officials are slated to answer questions from the House Intelligence Committee. The hearing coming on the heels of an intelligence report last year, you may remember, that we featured. It found the vast majority of the 144 incidents of unidentified aerial phenomena reviewed over the last 2 decades could not be explained and were not the work of the U.S. military or government. Joe Concha, I find this so fascinating that the House Intelligence Committee is holding a hearing on UFOs right now. Because initially, when I saw all of these unidentified aerial situations, I thought, well, this must be the Chinese Communist Party. This must be an adversary that's surveilling. But then we understand from this report that it wasn't that. So then what is it?
Well, you're not alone in terms of being fascinated by this, Maria. 2/3 of Americans believe that UFOs exist. 51% say they are not a threat to U.S. national security, because we all saw E.T., right? And E.T. seemed friendly enough. So I guess it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of these hearings, to see what's going on. I'd like to hear, for example, what's really going on at Area 51, right? But a majority of the public is fascinated by this, and now the evidence is there that these things very well may be real, and it's about time we heard more about what our government knows about them, Maria.
Yeah, and they say there is still much to learn, so we are going to be watching that hearing. It happens on May 17th.
Overdose deaths in America hitting a record high, fueled in large part by highly lethal street fentanyl. The number of Americans dying surpassing 100,000 for the first time last year. Drug traffickers preying on people as young as teenagers, mixing fentanyl with other drugs and putting it in fake pills. The CDC says these fentanyl overdoses were the leading cause of death for Americans between 18 and 45. A majority of the chemicals in the deadly drug are produced in China and come into our country from the southern border. The DEA says it's time to crack down.
China's to blame. Chinese chemical companies are the largest producer right now of the precursor chemicals that are being used to make fentanyl. There's a relationship between these Chinese chemical companies and the criminal cartels in Mexico. I think it's important to talk about the border, and I can say with 100% assurance that the criminal drug cartels in Mexico will stop at nothing to get fentanyl into the United States.
Judge, go ahead.
You know what? What she's saying, she could have said 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
There's nothing new in what she said. And the problem is that we've got a president who is not focused on this and not focused on the number of young people who are dying. And everybody's saying that's overdoses. And I'm going to say the obvious that everybody at this table already understands. And that is that the precursor to fentanyl is coming from China through the cartels. They're doing the money laundering. This is in an undeclared war by China against the United States. They are killing young people who are borrowing pain pills that are imprinted as though they're real pills, but they're laced with fentanyl. They are killing us.
What do you think the chances are, Geraldo, when Xi Jinping, or whatever his name is, was on the phone with our president? Do you think our president even mentioned fentanyl in a 2.5-hour conversation?
2 kids at Ohio State the other day.
Yeah, and you had the West Point grads also.
I mean, every parent says this to your children. Don't take anything. Don't take any pill that anyone gives you, because you don't know what's in it, no matter what they tell you. But so that's one front of this. The other front is to keep it from getting into the country. And I will say President Trump at least tried with President Xi. He brought this issue up, and they, supposedly had some sort of agreement, which obviously fell apart, unfortunately, right. But there was an effort made at that point. But the problem is that exactly what Janine is saying. This is another way to infiltrate this country.
It is,
the Chinese
absolutely.
are doing this through drugs. They're doing it through the economy. They're doing it through putting people in American corporations and universities. They're doing it in Taiwan. They're doing it in Hong Kong.
Buying farmland.
Exactly. So,
Yes.
I mean, and this isn't something that we hear the president talk about in a comprehensive way and say, look, we need to understand this. We are up against this aggressor in all of these ways. We need to take it. I feel like a lot of times, people from the White House go in, they talk about stuff. You're like, does this really matter?
Yeah.
Does this really
Well,
matter?
I
Why
think
aren't we
that
talking about the other stuff that we know matters?
Right. And how about this? This is what I think is especially insidious about this. It's one and done. And I think this is China's opium war on us.
It is.
They should be blaming Britain for it, but they're blaming us for it. And they think they'll take us down from the inside.
Yep.
But it's so simple. It is made in China, given to the cartels, brought across the border. The Mexican government is scared of the cartels, so let's help them out, like Mark Esper wrote about. And the president says, how do I stop it? Why don't we bomb them ourselves?
Yeah.
Maybe you can't do it that way, but we do help other groups, other governments crack down on their terrorists. Cartels are terrorists.
The Mexican government is key. The Mexican government's cooperation is so crucial. If you want to control immigration, you need the Mexican government to be on your side.
Yeah, but the Mexican government doesn't exist. The cartels run the Mexican government, and that's the whole problem.
But we can empower the government.
We can exactly, and that's what Donald Trump did. He empowered the Mexicans with a stay in Mexico policy. When before that, everyone said Mexico doesn't care. Well, you can make them care.
And
Make them
suddenly
care.
they had all of their own police forces on the
Yeah.
Mexican side of the border. And one other thing I forgot was COVID, intentionally or unintentionally,
Yep.
killed close to 1 million Americans.
Thanks,
with-
China.
Dr.
Thank
Redfield
you.
says it came from the lab,
Again, something
intentionally or unintentionally.
that
That's
probably
nearly 1 million people.
didn't come up on the call either.